everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Libby and I talk all things bookish. I have visited the charity shop a few times recently and I have two big bags. This one and this one's a bit bigger. Full of books to share with you. So I wanted to go through the books that I had bought from the charity shop. I live near a really good charity shop. It's actually massive. It's about the size of like Iceland. So like a mini supermarket. It's really, really big. There are so many amazing things in there, and one of the best sections, of course, is their book section. I feel like every time I go in there, I am buying some really, really good books, and I always find such amazing reads in there. All the time, the really good books that they have are ones that I already own or have already read, but I always do find things that I haven't read as well. I am going to just jump straight into the video with the first book, which is The Maze Runner. I feel like I am so behind with this book. Like, so many people have read this book and have watched the films and absolutely adore this book. And I feel like I am about 15 years behind. But I didn't read this as a child and I feel like I'm missing out. So I bought The Maze Runner. I don't even know if I need to go over what it's about, but I will read the blurb just in case. When the lift cranks open, the only thing Thomas remembers is his first name, but he's not alone. An army of boys welcomes him to the Glade, an encampment at the centre of a terrible maze. The Gladers have no idea why they're there or what's happening to the outside world. All they know is that every morning the walls slide back. They will risk everything to find out. It sounds really ominous and really intriguing, and I know that it's a good book because like so many people love it, but whether it's for me at the age I'm at is a different story. There's so many books that I read as a child that I read now that I'm 30 and they just don't hit the same, which is understandable. Um, I recently tried to reread the Angus Thongs series of books, and I think I only made it through the first two because they are so bad. They're like, they're not even a good kind of bad, they're just bad. Georgia is a horrible, horrible person. um, the film is still very nostalgic for me and I love the film, but the books are just awful. And I remember being obsessed with them when I was like 12, 13. So it can be really odd to read books that are aimed for young adults from about 15, 20 years ago because they don't always age well. And sometimes when you read them for the first time as an adult, it just doesn't hit the same because it's just not, you're in a different time and you're a different generation now. But I'm going to try it anyway because I'm really, really excited to give it a go. um yeah, so I picked up The Maze Runner. I then picked up Monday's a Murder, which is supposed to be really good. I've seen lots of people talk about this book and I'm really, really interested to see, I guess, what the hype is all about. I always find myself really pulled in when a book is like quite hyped up, but is not all over the place, if that makes sense. So, like, when people really love a book, but it's not everywhere. Um, because when books are recommended by like every single person, I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like, is this disingenuous? Because how can everyone like the same book? Do you know what I mean? I shall read the blurb. 7 days, 7 threats. Monday is coming. Kay left her sleepy hometown after the devastating death of her friend Ivy. But when Kay is forced to come back, she receives an anonymous letter that turns her life upside down. The letter tells her that there will be a thrill on Tuesday, a wreckage on Wednesday, treachery on Thursday, a fire on Friday, sabotage on Saturday, a stabbing on Sunday, and her murder on Monday. If Kay can't figure out who is behind the threats in time, the worst day of the week is about to get deadly. Ooh. That sounds really fun and like it sounds like it's going to be like a fun thrillery kind of book um which is actually really right up my street. Um it does say it's for fans of Holly Jackson, and I do quite like Holly Jackson as an author. I didn't actually like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but we're going to ignore that because everyone else loves it. But I liked her other books, so yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. It looks really, really good. The next book I picked up was Daisy Jones and the Six. I have always kind of felt like this book just wasn't for me. I didn't really think that I would vibe with it. However, I have just read Atmosphere, which is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and I devoured it. I absolutely loved it. I sobbed my gay little heart out. And so I want to try some more Taylor Jenkins Reid. I found this one in the charity shop. I thought, oh, I'll pick that one up because this will be a really good one for me to read. I'm sure everyone and their mother knows what this book is about because I feel like, again, I'm the last to the party. However, I will read the blurb for anyone that doesn't know what it's about. Everybody knows Daisy Jones and the Six. Their sound defined an era. Their albums were on every turntable. They sold out arenas from coast to coast. Then on July 12th, 1979, Daisy Jones walked barefoot on the stage at Chicago Stadium and it all came crashing down. Everyone was there, everyone remembers it differently. Nobody knew why they split until now. Oh, that actually seems really good. I don't know why. I thought this book was just about like their lifestyle at the hype of their music career, but it actually seems to be the complete opposite. um wow. Okay, I actually really think that I'm going to enjoy this, which is really exciting. Yeah, I think I'm really going to enjoy it. So I'm glad I picked it up. Let me know if you've read this. I'm sure you probably have, and let me know what you thought of it because I'm hoping that this is going to be another 5 star. Fingers crossed. I picked up One of Us is Lying. I did actually try and read this book about 2 years ago, and I just wasn't really feeling it. But I was kind of in a reading slump at the time, so I thought I would try it again. I actually only saw this one by chance because it was in the children's section. Usually in the children's section, they just have like middle grade books, so I don't tend to have a look there. They tend to put YA books in with the adults, which is a really odd setup, but it is what it is. But I saw this on the side of the children's section and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go again. The books in this charity shop are two for £1, and I needed to pick up another book anyway to make it £1, so I picked this one up. I'll read the blurb for you. 5 students walk into detention, only 4 leave alive. Yale hopeful Bronwyn has never publicly broken a rule. Sports star Cooper only knows what he's doing in a baseball diamond. Bad boy Nate is one misstep away from a life of crime. Prom queen Addie is holding together the cracks of her perfect life. And outsider Simon, creator of the notorious gossip app at Bayview High, won't ever talk about any of them again. He dies 24 hours before he could post their deepest secrets online. Investigators conclude it's no accident. All of them are suspects. Everyone has secrets, right? What really matters is how far you'll go to protect them. Oh, that sounds really good. And I know that this book is a series, so I think there are like 3 more after this one. So yeah. I really shouldn't be starting any more series because I've got so many on the go at the moment, but this does sound really good. This sounds just like the kind of book that I would like to read. I'm really interested in young adult thrillers. I find them so fun and there's so much to them that isn't in an adult thriller. I don't really know what it is, but I find adult thrillers are so serious and there's no fun in them. Whereas I find young adult thrillers, there's jokes and there's laughs and it's not serious the whole time. And I just find them more juicy and more gripping than an adult thriller. I don't know why, but I like a bit of fun with my thrillers, you know? And I just find that young adult thrillers hit the spot. So I'm really excited to read this one. I have seen this book everywhere, and it is Educated by Tara Westover. So many people read this book, I think last year and the year before. And I never got around to reading it. I'm not really sure why, but it just wasn't really on my radar. But I know just how many people absolutely adored this book. So when I saw it, I thought I'd pick that one up and give it a go. The back says, Tara Westover and her family grew up preparing for the end of days, but according to the government, she didn't exist. She hadn't been registered for a birth certificate. She had no school records because she'd never set foot in a classroom, and no medical records because her father didn't believe in hospitals. As she grew older, her father became more radical and her brother more violent. At 16, Tara knew she had to leave home. In doing so, she discovered both the transformative power of education and the price she had to pay for it. It sounds really good. It is a memoir, so it's non-fiction, and I do sometimes struggle reading non-fiction as a physical or ebook. Much better with audiobook when it comes to non-fiction, but because it's a memoir, it might be a little bit different. I find memoirs are a little bit easier to read as a physical than a research heavy book, for example. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I think it's going to be quite powerful, and I think it'll give me a lot to think about. It seems really thought provoking. Adults is another book that I have seen absolutely everywhere in the past sort of year, and I thought this was such a good find when I found this one in the charity shop. I've wanted to read it for quite a while, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Jenny McLean can't afford her mortgage since her ex moved out. It's about to get dumped by her best friend. Spends all day online stalking women with picture perfect lives, and now her mother has appeared on her doorstep, unbidden, to save the day. Is Jenny ready to grow up and rescue herself this time? Stylist has said this is hilarious, that this novel is so relatable is what makes it such a page turner, heartwarming and heartbreaking. I'm also obsessed with the cover. I think it's so pretty. I'm not usually one for like photos on a cover. I much prefer illustrations, but I think this cover really packs a punch. And so I'm really excited to read this one. It does sound really good. It sounds really funny, relatable, and yeah, I'm just really excited to read it. I then got The Names, which I feel like everyone is reading at the moment, which kind of spurred me to buy it. When I saw it, I thought, oh, I recognize that book. Like everyone is reading it right now. So it is 1987, and in the wake of a great storm, Cora sets out with her young daughter to register the birth of her son. Her husband expects her to follow tradition and call the baby after him, but is it right for her child to inherit his name from generations of domineering men? Her choice will shape the course of their lives. 7 years later, her son is Bear, a name chosen by his sister, hoping he will grow up to be brave and big-hearted. Or is he Julian, the name his mother set her heart on, keen for him to become his own person? Or he is Gordon, named after his father and raised in his cruel image. But is there still a chance to break the mold? Powerfully moving and full of hope, this is the story of three names, three versions of a life, and the infinite possibilities that a single decision can spark. Ooh, that sounds really good. I didn't actually know what this was about. I recently read a book called something like The Versions of a Girl, and that was about a decision that is to be made when she's about between 14 and 16, I want to say, and she makes a decision, and then it like the story splits in two and you see what would happen in her life depending on what decision she made, and you got to see two different lives that she would have led, which is kind of similar to this, I imagine, where you see three different lives that he'd lead dependent on what his name was. And that sounds really interesting. I loved versions of a girl, so I think I'm really going to love this one. I just find that kind of thing really fascinating, like seeing different versions of events, like depending on a singular decision. I think it's like a really thought provoking sort of premise for a book, because we make decisions every day, and dependent on what we decide depends on the course of how our life is going to turn out. And like sometimes the decision seems so small that you don't think it's going to have any impact, but like one singular decision can change the entire course of your life. So I find these books really interesting to see how like different decisions will have different results. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. I then bought 1 Year of Ugly. I haven't really seen this book much online. I don't think I've seen it at all online, actually. But I was really drawn in by the cover and the title. It really like just captivated me. Palacios. Meet Yola Palacios. Having escaped crumbling socialist Venezuela, Yola and her family are settling into their peaceful new life in Trinidad. But when her beloved Aunt Celia dies, the family once again find their lives turned upside down. For Celia had been keeping a very big secret. She was seriously in debt to a local criminal called Ugly. Without the funds to pay him off, the Palacios must do his bidding until the debt is cleared. So far, so ugly. In the midst of turmoil appears Roman, Ugly's distractedly gorgeous right-hand man. And although she knows it's foolish, not to mention dangerous, Yola can't help but give in to the attraction. Could this wildly inappropriate and very messy romance be the perfect antidote? Ah. I actually love the sound of that. What an interesting concept for a romance novel. That sounds really good. It feels like a very unique premise. It's probably not. There's probably a lot of other books similar to this, but this sounds so good. Um, I know that like there's a lot of books out there of like mafia romance and things like that, but I feel like I feel like it'll bring like a fresh take to that sort of sector of romance novels. So I'm really excited to read this one. It seems really, really good. I then found Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, which is an absolute steal at 50p. It's in such good condition and is the hardback. So I was like, I can't not buy this. I have to pick this up. I don't actually know what it's about. I just know that people love it, and I really like Sally Rooney's writing. So I'm really excited for this one. Let's find out what it's about. Aside from the fact that they are brothers, Peter and Ivan seem to have little in common. Peter is a Dublin lawyer in his 30s, successful, competent, and apparently unassailable. But in the wake of their father's death, he is medicating himself to sleep and struggling to manage his relationships with two very different women. His enduring first love, Sylvia, and Naomi, a college student for whom life is one long joke. Ivan is a 22-year-old competitive chess player. He has always seen himself as socially awkward, a loner, the antithesis of his glib elder brother. Now, in the early weeks of his bereavement, Ivan meets Margaret, an older woman emerging from her own turbulent past, and their lives become rapidly and intensely intertwined. For two grieving brothers and the people they love, this is a new interlude, a period of desire, despair, and possibility, a chance to find out how much one life might hold inside itself without breaking. I really love Sally Rooney. I love how she basically holds a magnifying glass over lives of just normal people and kind of explores what it's like to deal with so many difficult human emotions and like the complexities of human relationships. I find it really interesting. And so I'm really excited to read this one. I think this one will be a really good one and may even be a 5-star. maybe. I also picked up Ready Player 2. I won't read the blurb for this one because I haven't read the first one yet. And also, this is the second in a series, so I don't want to give away anything by reading the blurb of this one. But I have Ready Player 1 on my Kindle, so I saw this one and thought I'd pick this one up. I don't actually really know what these two books are about, but I know that so many people love them and rave about them. So, yes, I'm excited to read this one. I then bought 4 Cassandra Clare books. So, the first book I bought was City of Bones, which is book 1 in the Mortal Instruments series, which I'm so excited to read. I'm really excited to start my Cassandra Clare journey. Um, her books just seem really good and so many people rave about them, so I'm excited. And then the next 3 books I bought are the first 3 in a series. So I picked up Lady Midnight, Lord of the Shadows, and Queen of Air and Darkness. It says that these are all a Shadowhunters novel. So I'm excited to pick these up and read these. I want to say that these are like a spin-off of the Shadowhunter series. I think someone told me that on TikTok. So I need to read the Shadowhunter series before I start these ones. But I couldn't believe I got all of these. Like yeah, so good. So good. Those are all the books that I picked up from the charity shop. I would love to know if you've read any of them, and like what you rated them, what you thought about them, or if any of these are also on your TBR. I'd love to know that as well. I'm so excited and so happy with my little like haul. I hope you're all having a lovely day, and I hope that you have some fun reading today. I am going to be reading as well, and I will see you all next time. Bye.